Yusuf Estes, and I'm looking for something. Actually, I'm looking for someone. Is that someone you? I want Dawah partners, and you can be my Dawah partner right now. It's real easy. Just go to dawahpartners.com, sign up, and join me. There are 3 things that I would like for you to be able to do. Any one of them or all of them. Beautiful. Number 1, you will make dua. So you can be our Dawah partner, even if you don't go to the website, but I hope you do. Number 2, share. Share this message and let other people know about becoming Dawah partners. And number 3, help us financially. Donate on a monthly basis, even if it's small. Allah loves the thing that you do regularly, even if it's small, more than the thing that you do that's really big, but you only do it once. Join me as a Dawah partner. Do it now. Click, 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 click.
A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way.
And you're back. Well, not necessarily back. We're here for today at our studios in Southern California, where it's time for Talk About It with Sheikh Yusuf Estes.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Now that's something to get excited about. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. I don't know why we don't have enough light on here. See if I can turn these. There we go. There we go. That looks a little bit better to me. Anyway, so, okay, let's get started. Sister, I heard something today that really, really inspired me. Would you like to know what it is?
Yes, I would, please.
Yeah, actually, our brother in Islam, Omar Suleiman in Dallas, Texas, he did a program. I was doing a series, actually, I guess, about Omar radiallahu anhu. And when I watched this thing, I cried, because I didn't realize how much that there was to know about this great man. And I think that the early Muslims really need to be examined closer for us today, especially when it comes to the things that we are dealing with. For instance, when he was talking about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was talking about how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had gone up to the Holy Land in that one night. It's called the night of the Miraj, if you will. And so the Isra, that's the other name, the Isra wal Miraj. And this event, I don't know why I didn't know all of this. I guess I just didn't study long enough to know. But when I heard the things that went on, and then the follow-up when Omar was the Khalifa, and he actually went there and was given the keys to the church by the people in charge. They gave the keys to Omar radiallahu anhu. And it was all about his demeanor, his way, his character. They looked at him as, this man is the man that's in our scripture. Because, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but in the Bible, it also talks about Omar. The Bible
No, I didn't know that.
does talk about, describes him very crystal clear. And when you hear this, oh my God, you feel like, oh, 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 oh. And I was really taken with that. Then he did another one I didn't finish the other one, but right after that. And oh my goodness. Talking about the character of, I just give you one thing, just one thing. Everybody, I think that's a Muslim, knows that Omar was physically big and very powerful. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. See, and you're even a convert, but you already knew about this. Now, when it comes to the character of Omar before coming to Islam, you might be surprised to find out that he hated Islam for a reason that is actually commendable. Can you imagine this?
Huh.
I was shocked when I heard this. I said, oh my God. All right. He was one of the people that were reciters. You remember me talking about many times, I was talking about the Prophet ﷺ's first experience with Jibril. When Jibril comes into the cave where the Prophet ﷺ is, and he said, Iqra. You remember this story?
Yeah.
And the Prophet ﷺ, he says to Jibril, Ma ana bikari. I am not a reciter. You've heard me talk about that.
Yes.
All right. He didn't say I'm illiterate. He didn't say that so and so. But now, most of the people, I'm going to just throw a number out there, like 90% of all the people didn't know how to read or write a single letter at all in the Arabian Peninsula. And he even gave it a bigger example than that. Maybe like you could narrow it down to 1% of all of the people living there could read or write. But Omar was one of those people. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I suspected it because he was a reciter. I thought he might have some sort of literacy, but I didn't know if he was fluent.
Well, actually, he was. He was very, very intelligent and very, very much, you would be surprised at the ability that he had. He was a very intelligent person. On top of being educated, he could use his brains. Now, when I said that he had a legitimate reason, or a commendable, actually, reason for hating Islam, you have to know that he was really a reciter, and he was a qari. But he could make up stuff on the spot, and he could dish it out, and people that were professional reciters would come up against him, and he'd put them in the dirt right away. Not physically, with his ability, his brain. And I was shocked to hear all of this, that he was so intense about this. Now, another thing he was very intense about was about the idea of his whole community. Very few people would, even in these days, get outside of their tribal mentality or their political allegiances or their, what was in Arabic it's called asabiya, party spirit. But at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the time of Omar we're talking about now, but it's the same time, these people had such an allegiance to their tribe that they would actually sacrifice their lives of themselves and for their children and their whole families. They'd put it all on the line for their tribe, and they didn't care. It didn't matter if they were right or wrong. It just was my tribe, my tribe. It kind of reminds you of some people that stormed the Capitol, Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But the thing that I'm trying to emphasize is that Omar was not of those people. And when they would try to come up to him with their tribal things, he would always come up with something greater or better. As a matter of fact, his whole reason for hating Islam was summed up in a little conversation that he had. Because now this is before he became a Muslim. He was not a Muslim yet. Oh, by the way, he was also in his young 20s. I didn't know that either. I always thought of him as being so mature, but he was just out of his teens. And so here is Islam was going through the community, but not spreading really fast in those days. And in the first 10 years that the Prophet ﷺ was trying to convey his message to his own tribe, a lot of them were coming up in opposition to them, punishing them, physically abusing them, hurting them, even killing them. You knew that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when one of the people, a couple, were going to make that first hijrah, the first hijrah was over to Africa. You know that, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So the couple is packing up their stuff and so on, and the lady was kind of stressed out over all of the things going on, and Omar passes by and he observes that there's something looks a little bit different with her and so on. And he said, what's going on? Where are you going? And she was supposed to keep quiet about it, but she was so fed up with all of the way that everybody was treating her. She turns to Omar and she's like, and she fully expects that he is going to at least abuse her or say something bad to her or spit on her or something like that, but she didn't care. She said, it's because of you and people like you that I am leaving. My husband and I, we are taking off. We're going to go make hijrah. And it's all because you guys are treating us so bad and hurting our feelings. And all because you guys talk about the haram, the sanctuary, there in Mecca, and you act like you are protecting it, you're protecting all your gods and so on. But at the end of the day, well, if somebody wants to worship just the one God that created everything, you give us a hard time. And she was really lashing into him. And she reported herself that she was strangely affected by his reaction, because he wasn't like fierce and coming back, and she could see in his face that he was really, is that what we're doing? And then she made this, and he said something to her. He said, may Allah bless you and keep you safe in your journey. What? That was such a shock, because they did not anticipate anything like that. And so when she told her husband, he's like, oh no, are we talking about the same Omar? You must be talking about a different Omar. And she said, no, that was Omar ibn al-Khattab. So he's the one who said that famous saying there. I think everybody's heard it. But
actually, he did, I couldn't hear it because my internet locked up.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I was just talking about the expression that he gave back to her. Did you hear that?
No, that's what I missed.
Okay. So when Omar is talking to her at the end of her attack on him, really, he's just saying, he's surprised, and he says to her, well, Allah keep you safe in your journey. Ma salama is the expression that they probably used at that time, because salam is peace. Salama, when you say it that way, you're talking about the peace that comes with security and safety in traveling, Ma salama. Anyway, so this reaction that he's coming up with, it surprised her so much she went back and told her husband. And he wants to know, are you talking about the Omar that we all know? Is there another Omar out here that's that can't be? And then he said this statement that the donkey of I forgot who is somebody's donkey will become a Muslim before Omar would. That's what he said. And a lot of people have quoted that, not understanding that this is how it came about. And why would Omar, who is such really out there, I mean, he has no problem telling anybody what to do or how to do it. But all of a sudden, because she's leaving and she addressed him directly, he made dua for her, even though he was a mushrik. He said, may Allah keep you safe in your journey. What is this? And he's the husband of the lady. He says, so are you thinking that Omar is going to become a Muslim? And she said, well, it's possible, inshallah. And he said, that's when he said, well, the donkey of so-and-so could become a Muslim easier than Omar. That's not going to happen. But it just shows us how important it is for us not to react to people treating us in a harsh way. Doesn't matter. Because now let's investigate why Omar said that. Because he did not support the tribe that he's from over any other tribe. He supported the general community of Mecca. He wanted the community all to get along good, and that's why he didn't allow himself to fall into the trap of promoting my tribe over your tribe. Yeah. And that is why he didn't like Islam, because he saw it dividing up the community.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense. When you think about the way that Omar was really trying to keep the community together, and he sees some religion which was told to him to be a false religion, etc. But now it makes a lot of sense that why, when he was going to go to the Prophet ﷺ, and he has his sword in his hand, and the community there was like, whoa, 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 and the Prophet ﷺ said, just let him come in, let him come on, go ahead. And Omar is reported to have looked right at the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah, without any dialogue. No, like, well, do you believe in God? Do you believe in me? Do you believe in the Quran? No, there was no dialogue, and no questions either. Like, why you guys did this or that? Or how come you put a limit on wives? Or it didn't talk about any of these subjects. He just said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. And now, why? Because he understood the importance of the community being together, but then a higher level of that, the community being together for the sake of Almighty God. Because he is the one who created us. Not the community didn't create the community, but rather the God of all did so. And if you hear this amazing story, and I just pulled the one little thing out of it, but if you hear this story from Omar Suleiman, I think you will be like me. You'll be just crying and excited and happy and sad for this or that. And you can see the reality of how much this man really had an impact on the people that he went around. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but Michael Hart wrote the 100 most influential men in history. Do you remember that book?
Yes, I do remember that book.
Okay. So that particular book lists Muhammad as number 1.
Right.
But Sir Isaac Newton is the one that's listed as number 2. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Well, number 3 is Jesus, right?
Right.
Yeah. But did you know that Omar is in there?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, he is. He is given credit from Michael Hart for the ability to bring together the people wherever he went. He was always bringing people together. He was always living the example of Islam. As a matter of fact, in one of the things that he mentioned was about the 17 patches that he had on his garment. 17 patches on his garment. I don't know why, sister, the Zoom is taking over and putting you on there while I'm talking. I don't know why. Let me see if I can fix this. It's always something every night. Let me see if I can override that. Yeah, here we go. Maybe this will help. And then I can bring you in. Let me see. Oh, now I lost you.
I'm still here.
Here we go. That's better. Now, while we're talking, it won't keep popping in and out. So, the idea behind living the example like Omar did, and he's wearing a garment that has 17 patches, and some of the patches didn't even match at all. There was one report says that he was wearing this many patches, and one of them was made out of leather. Now, this garment right here, if I'm going to patch it up and sew it up and do stuff with it, probably I'm not even going to do that. But I asked my wife to help me out with that. But imagine taking a piece of leather and covering it up so that it won't allow moisture or wind or anything like that. This is really a big thing, So, anyway, now, how can people do that? Get a chance to listen to Omar Suleiman talk about Omar. I think that you could go to YouTube and type in Omar Suleiman, and I think he spells it S-U instead of S-O, Suleiman.
Yeah, it's S-U.
S-U-E, Suleiman. If you type in Omar, S-U-E, I think it'll solve it for you and it suggests it. And then you can watch these, especially Omar. I was thinking, anybody who gets this name Omar should know who this really is. By the way, now on another note, there are many people in Mexico named Omar. Did you know that?
Sorry, I had you muted again. No, I did not know that.
Okay. Well, sister, if you're busy right now, maybe I should just talk to the folks and make it easy for them.
Oh, I'm trying to keep it muted so that I don't kick over other noise.
It's not going to do it now. I fixed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. So
no, I did not know that there were a lot of people in Mexico named Omar.
Yeah, a lot of people in Mexico have the name Omar. They have the names of some of the companions and some of the wives of the prophets, and they don't know that. They don't know where it came from. They know it came from Spain, but they don't realize that Spain was ruled by Muslims for almost 800 years. And that these people were displaced because of religious oppression. When the Catholics took over Spain, they did the same thing that they did in Mexico. They did the same thing that they did in the Americas. They just forced people, if you don't accept our religion, and it was really tough on the Native American people, because they already had, some of them were already worshiping Allah. They didn't know his name, but they were worshiping the one God, and they would point up like that. I've talked about that in some of our other programs. So, yeah, they don't realize in Mexico why that they have these names. And I remember that one came to my house one time when I lived in Texas, almost 30 years ago now. He came up to our house and he knocked the door and he said, "Is this so-and-so?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I heard that you talk about Islam and so on, and he wants to know, what's going on with it." Well, we were talking. He said, "Well, I was named by my grandfather, one name, but then my parents, they give me some other name. But what was this name?" And it meant that this was one of the companions' names. I've forgotten what it was now, but anyway, he started telling me about his grandfather. And I listened to him, and I realized, you know what? Your grandfather was a Muslim. He said, "Oh, how?" And I said, "Well, you just described the things that Muslims do. The kindness, the caring, the taking care of the family, and the idea that he would break off from the people, and he would, at certain times of the day. And one of the times was right after they had their lunch. He would say, in Spanish, he said, "I'm going to go to the south. I'm going to go to the south or east. What was it? Zohar. And he meant he was going to go pray Zohar. And they didn't know. They didn't understand that he was going off to pray. Wherever he was going to go, he would go off and pray. And that was one of the things that tipped me off. Then, step by step, I realized that the person I was talking to, really wanted to know about Islam. So I started explaining. He came over again and we talked. Finally, he accepted Islam.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, he did. And he started giving the dawah to his people, his relatives, And then I had the occasion to meet with Omar Weston. We'll talk about another Omar now. Omar Weston, who was the only person, the only convert that I knew in Mexico at that time. And he was the only one given the dawah in Spanish and English and Arabic, because he had already gone to Medina to learn the Arabic language. This was an amazing person. And he was telling me that he had some relatives in Texas that needed to know about Islam. So when we started meeting them and talking with them and telling them, because they were also from Mexico, it was amazing how many of them became Muslim right away and get involved and really get involved to spread the deen of Islam. It's beautiful. But I want to go back to the story of Omar now. And Omar had this ability to communicate really strong with people. And he had a real deep, big, and powerful voice. And he was able to really drive it home. That's why the lady, she thought for sure Omar's going to respond back to me in a harsh way. But he didn't. He just made that blessing for her. And that confused some people. Even today, they look at it and say, why would Omar, before Islam, because he hated Islam, but he made dua for this lady that was going to go off, for hijrah to another country. But when you put it in perspective, you feel like, I get it. I understand now why he was the way he was. Because learn the stories about when he was the Khalifa, when he would go into different countries and work alongside of people, and they saw him for who he really was. This is a man that's not pretentious at all. He's not trying to come up with like, oh, I'm better than you are, my tribe, no. Anybody could come up to him and talk to him, and he would listen. He would listen, even though he was very high intelligence. His IQ must have been very high. It's at the same time, he didn't have that show-offness, that a lot of people have. One time, I remember, he addressed a group of people that already knew him. And when he came in and he said, this is Omar ibn al-Khattab. This is Omar who does this, so-and-so. And he put himself down a little bit in this talk. And then somebody asked him later, why, we all know you're Omar. Why did you come in and do that? He said, because my nafs, my, what's nafs in English? My, what is it inside of us?
The conscience?
Not conscience. What's the best word in English for nafs? I know what it means, but I can't think of an English word for it. It's so easy to say nafs. Your inner desires, your lust, the id. The id of the person? Yeah. That's it. The psychological makeup of a person. He said it was my nafs were trying to overtake me and make me think I'm somebody important. He was the Khalifa, for crying out loud. And he said, so I wanted to just say that and talk about my shortcomings so that I put myself back where I belong. That was amazing. How many people could do that? I have to struggle with myself to admit that I make mistakes and that I was wrong about this, I was wrong about that. And it's tough. Ego, that's the other word, ego. Yeah. I don't even know if ego is a proper translation of nafs, but that'll do. Anyway, let's take a break and we'll come back and hopefully we can move forward without this thing messing up any more than it already has. Alhamdulillah. All right. Stay tuned. Stay guided.
The wise old owl says we all need guidance in our life. So remember, get guided with Guide Us TV.
Guide Us TV, first Islam channel in U.S.
Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And remember, tell everyone, stay guided with Guide Us TV.
Stay guided with Guide Us TV.
This is Yusuf Estes, and I'm looking for something. Actually, I'm looking for someone. Is that someone you? I want Dawah partners, and you can be my Dawah partner right now. It's real easy. Just go to dawahpartners.com, sign up, and join me. There are 3 things that I would like for you to be able to do. Any one of them or all of them. Beautiful. Number 1, you will make dua. So you can be our Dawah partner, even if you don't go to the website, but I hope you do. Number 2, share. Share this message and let other people know about becoming Dawah partners. And number 3, help us financially. Donate on a monthly basis, even if it's small. Allah loves the thing that you do regularly, even if it's small, more than the thing that you do that's really big, but you only do it once. Join me as a Dawah partner. Do it now. Click, 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 click. We're back. I had to get my little cap on, look like a Muslim. Alhamdulillah. Sister said in the break that she had to go, so we're going to take some phone calls right now. If you would like to call in, 1-800-971-4383.
For more options, press star.
Yeah. All right. We have a phone call right now. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ah, mashallah. I recognize that voice. How's everything going?
Everything is good. Just calling for a good show.
Okay. Thank you for that. We're encouraging everybody to call us right now and talk about any subject you like. And if you'd like to talk about the subject, I've been talking about the subject of Omar, radiallahu anhu. And the way that somebody lives the life of a Muslim speaks louder than volumes and libraries full of books. And I think you like books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, I know you do. So, but when it comes to this, sometimes the expression of a person, there's an expression that, as a matter of fact, it says that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Now, here I got a picture here. Let me hold this up. Now this is probably worth more than 1,000 words, right? MashaAllah. Yeah. Okay. But what does a person's life statement mean? Because if you see somebody who is very noble, very honest, forthright, and takes his time to help other people, and he has a high position, but he still doesn't lord it over others. He just wants to help. So that speaks volumes for that person. And you can say, well, you know what? He's at a person like him should be elevated up and held those high positions. And that was the case of Omar. But I think that he would be more impressed with us, not just talking about him, but realizing what he did and how we can do things like that ourselves. One of the things that he was very, very clear to make sure everybody has a choice. He never forced, nor did he allow others to force people to come into Islam. He never did that. Now, some people like to tell stories, but they have no proof of this whatsoever, because Omar radiallahu anhu never forced anybody to do anything, except if they were pulling out weapons, he'd force them to put the weapon away, yeah, but or take care of them. But I would like to be sure that we get the idea of, when we're talking about these great people like Omar, like the Prophet ﷺ, and like Jesus ﷺ, when we're talking about them and their character and what they're doing, it's not just because we want to raise them up or praise them or, instead of praising Allah. It's that this is the character that we wish that we would emulate. I want to have this quality in my character. I want to do good things for others. And when we come to this subject, I'd like to mention the subject of charity, because we just had on Sunday, just past Sunday, we had, it was called International Day of Charity. I think that's the way they styled it. And we put it up on our website. I put it out there on our social media. I wanted people to think about this. And we even suggested different ways people could donate for different things, to orphans, to helping others. And not even a Muslim. You could help somebody that needs food, somebody that needs a push, on their car. You could just pull over and help them out. Maybe they need the battery cables to connect to your car. And take your time, help other people. These are the kind of things that let people know the character of what a real Muslim is. You know, I have thought about this because there are people that never ever miss the chance to go to the masjid. They want to go into the masjid and they'll take off their shoes and go into the masjid and want to be in the front row. They'll push their way into the front row and then come back out and grab their shoes and somebody give them salams and they go, wa alaikum salam, and then just go off like that. And I wonder, do they realize how they look? Do they realize that this kind of character, the way that they're representing here, is not really the way of the rightly guided people? And so whenever we have a chance to do something good for other people, I think we should take advantage of that. So I was encouraging people to donate for this great opportunity. But then I realized that big mistake in it is it's called the International Day of Charity. That doesn't work for Muslims. How could I have one day that I would give more charity than another day? That's like Mother's Day or Father's Day. Okay, sister, have you ever thought about Mother's Day or Father's Day?
Yeah, and I used to observe them when I was Christian before I converted, and I always wondered why it was only one day a year, because we should honor our parents every day.
That's what it says in the Bible. That's what it says in the Quran. This is something that we, as the continuation of the message that came with all of the prophets. And I want to stress that because I know that some folks are watching this that are not Muslim, and I really appreciate you guys. I really, truly appreciate you guys who are not Muslim who are watching us. You know why? Because you've taken the time to listen to the other side. And I hope that we in some way can inspire you to consider worshiping directly to the one God. And if you can do that, let him guide you. You don't need Yusuf Estes. You don't need any of us. But you do need the one who created you. And just to ask him, what do you want me to do with my life? Lord, help me. And if you'll do that, I'm sure he'll help you. The intention is all of us Muslims. We know that the intention is the core. That is the center of the belief of the Muslims. If your intentions are good, then the whole of the matter is good. But if the intentions are not good, regardless of what you're doing or achieving, but your intentions are not good, then the whole of the matter is ultimately bad for you. Even if it's good for, maybe you build a hospital, and maybe you fill it with beds so that people can go into the hospital. And maybe you buy the equipment, but your intention isn't to help. But you are helping, but you have the intention to do something else. That's what you have. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Innama amalu binniyah." This is the Arabic form of the simple way to say it. Everything is going to be by intention. The mu'amala, the deeds of the one who has the khair, the good intention to do something, this is already recorded as good deeds for them. Even to have the intention to do these good deeds, this is a good deed itself. So I want to encourage myself and all of us that we could just look to the character of these wonderful people and then try to emulate this character, or maybe come up with something even better. Who knows? Never give up on yourself. You know what? At the end of the day, if you don't give up, you can't lose. If you give up, you already lost. But if you never give up, you didn't lose. Because that is what Allah is looking for. He wants you to work, even though you have all of the all of the things against you, like it's overwhelming, but still, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. That is one of the most important things that I think we could even talk about. Sister, you called us, and if you got anything, go ahead. This is a good chance for you to get it off your chest.
I was just calling to say good show, and that I'm learning a lot about Omar because I didn't know very much about him.
Well, I have to admit now, I thought I knew something about Omar, but even the before and after of Islam, I didn't know that. I always thought that he was like this real gruff person that was just out for himself, and then all of a sudden he just changed. But now I understand, it puts it in so much perspective. I really feel like today really opened my eyes about a lot of things. So that's really great.
I was very interested when you mentioned that he was in the Bible. Did you reiterate that?
Oh, yeah. Well, when we were talking a little bit earlier, I was telling Sister Kim, she had to leave, by the way, and it turned out that when I'm talking about Omar now, he was the Khalifa, and he goes to the Holy Land. He's in Palestine. He's in Jerusalem. And the one who was over all of Jerusalem at that time, he said, I don't want to deal with you guys right now. I want the man who's mentioned in our scripture to come here. He's the one who was the assistant of helping Muhammad when he was alive. I want this man. And he said, I want Omar ibn al-Khattab. And maybe he didn't mention him by name, but they knew who he meant. And they were looking at each other like, okay. So then they talked about it amongst themselves, and they said, well, we do have another person there who looks like him, and we could, and they tried that. It didn't work. He said, no, I want the one that's mentioned in our scriptures. And they were like, what? So they told Omar about it. Now, look what Omar does. He doesn't just pack up on top of a camel and run off up there. No. And he didn't say, oh, no, that's I got too much to hear. And he had never left, since becoming a Muslim, he had never left the Medina. He had not gone out, other than to Mecca or whatever, but he had not gone out of their land, and he had taken his position very seriously. 2 years after the Prophet ﷺ died, Omar was already the Caliph, and because the best friend of Muhammad ﷺ was chosen to be the Caliph right after the death of Muhammad ﷺ. That was Abu Bakr. But Abu Bakr passed away 2 years later. And on his deathbed, he is saying to Omar, I want you to take it over. And Omar's like, no, why me, But some people try to twist this around and make it look like that Abu Bakr wanted the position, and then Omar wanted it, but that is not the case at all. If you have actual, literal proof of what you say, then bring it. Because we know exactly what was said and done, because it's all recorded. The people of that time, as I was mentioning about Omar, the people in general had tremendous memories because they couldn't read or write. They had to memorize exactly what was said, what was done, what color was the clothes, what was the position of the sun when they said this or that. People had good memories. Today we don't exercise our memories, and our memories attest to that, because we cannot even hold a proper conversation without faltering here or there, or looking for let me pull out my phone, Alexa or Siri, I've got a problem here, I need to, and I'm as guilty as anybody. But I know that in those days they had stronger memories, because truth be known, when I was a kid, people memorized phone numbers, addresses of all of their customers, of all of their friends, of all of their neighbors. And people, and speaking of neighbors, people knew their neighbors. They knew their neighbors 10 blocks over, 4 blocks over, here and there. And maybe they didn't know all of their names, but they know, oh, you know, this is the guy, he's the postman, I recognize him. And oh, this is the guy that drives the truck up and down through here. And they knew the character of the people. A lot of times, because when they go to church, and neighborhood churches, and they would meet them and visit with them, and they learn. So the idea of today, we have gigabytes of RAM, terabytes of RAM memory, random access memory. That's what RAM means. But surprise, surprise, all of the memory that we got, it's not in here anymore. It's not up there anymore. Yeah. And it gets worse as you get older, too. Anyway. So the thing that I want to emphasize again and again is, when we learn about these wonderful characteristics of the companions of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we should also try to figure out how we can implement those characteristics in us. The honor, the dignity, the truthfulness, and the charity giving. All of these things are really, really important for us as human beings. Forget about religion, forget about politics, as a human to another human. Who are we if we can't be nice to people that we don't know? Do I have to know somebody to give them a greeting? I've found that some of the Muslims will say that you can't give the salams to people you don't know, because you don't know if they're really a Muslim or not. Now, in a Muslim country, if you see somebody wearing these caps, like that, then you could take a chance. But what about whenever you're in other countries and other places? How about here in America? I'm walking down the street and somebody will greet me and say, hello, how are you doing? I say, fine, peace with you. And they say, oh, that's very nice. Now, if I said salam alaikum, they might be like, what's that mean? And then we open up another discussion. Or if they look like they're a religious person, maybe in a conversation I realize maybe he's religious, I say, shalom alaikum. And they say, oh, you can speak Hebrew. Well, a few words. A few words, because it's in our book. And then they'll say, well, what book is that? Ah, well, that's the Quran. And they say, what? Well, that's the book of the Muslims. Yep. Well, do you know any? Well, yeah, you're talking to one. And they look at you like, huh? Even when they see this cap, they think I'm Jewish or something, you know? They never expect. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I go out wearing my hijab and people think I'm a nun.
Well, you know, in Texas, when you get close to the border especially, but anywhere, if you meet folks there that are really Catholic, and they'll come up to you and they want to give you some of their change or some coins or something. Is that right?
Yeah. That happened in San Antonio before.
Yeah. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So, anyway, oh, by the way, if you don't know who is calling me right now, I recognize their voice right away, so that's why I started being familiar. This is my boss. My boss. Okay, you can have, yeah. You know, I think about it like this: that whenever people talk about having 4 wives, my wife is. She's told me from the very beginning. From the beginning, if you want more wives, go ahead. I said, like what? What? That surprised me. That was one of the first conversations we had, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. But I think of her as really my partner in life. But I call her my boss. And then who would like to have 4 bosses? I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I don't want to make my life any harder than whatever Allah tests me with. I don't want to add to that. So if you folks would like to call in, we only got about 6 minutes remaining in the program, so you can still call in. And I know my wife won't mind giving up the line so that you can talk to us. 1-800-971-4383. 1-800-971-4383. Give us a call and we can talk about it. But the focus that I was doing, if you need to get back to what you're doing, boss, you go ahead.
Just cooking your supper.
Oh, yeah. Today's Thursday. When the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, the food goes in. There you go. Oh, we do have a caller all the way from Canada. Let's take that call. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. How are you, my dear brother?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Hu Ladi Jalna Muslimeen. How is everything going? Are you watching the show tonight?
I am watching the show. I thought it was a quite interesting show tonight. The one thing that I decided to do, and the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because I want to encourage other people to do likewise.
Okay.
And I decided to become a Dawa partner.
Oh, wonderful.
So I am encouraging everybody that is listening to the show and that will hear it on the rebroadcast to become a Dawa partner. You got to realize the rewards from this, and there's so much of a blessing from Allah when you do this.
That's true. It really is true. I remember when we first started out, I was committed to this thing, but I didn't know how to do it. And now I have a book that came in the mail today. It's called The Lost Art of the Call of Islam. That's the book, Dawah. And it's by Khalid Amin, and he's the father of Harun Amin, who is one of our reciters of the Quran and used to travel with us, mashallah. This is a great, wonderful thing to do, is to be a Dawah partner. And one of the things that I think that you as a convert, I'm talking to Brother James Habib James. Anyway, I'm thinking that you will benefit because you also get to learn so much about the religion. When I started out, all I knew was there's one God, and Muhammad's his messenger, But if I'm going out in the dawah, in the path of Allah, and I'm meeting these people and talking with these people, and very famous Muslims would come up to me and say, shake my hand and talk to me about this or that, and what made it real easy for me. Well, they're telling us we got to go off the air. Habib, let's talk some more tomorrow. How about that idea?
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Inshallah.
Everybody stay tuned and stay guided with
Guide Us TV.
Yeah, that's my Dawa partner. Yeah, and here's something about Dawa partners. Yusuf Estes, and I'm looking for something. Actually, I'm looking for someone. Is that someone you? I want Dawa partners, and you can be my Dawa partner right now. It's real easy. Just go to dawapartners.com, sign up, and join me. There are 3 things that I would like for you to be able to do. Any one of them or all of them. Beautiful. Number 1, you will make dua. So you can be our Dawa partner, even if you don't go to the website, but I hope you do. Number 2, share. Share this message and let other people know about becoming Dawa partners. And number 3, help us financially. Donate on a monthly basis, even if it's small. Allah loves the thing that you do regularly, even if it's small, more than the thing that you do that's really big, but you only do it once. Join me as a Dawa partner. Do it now. Click, 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 click.